This review was made possible by contributions from viewers like you.
Hello everyone, and welcome to my 8th anniversary! This is normally the part where I say something like, wow, I can't believe it's been X years already. But, of course I've already been doing this for so many years. I mean, how can I not with an audience as great as you guys? Anyway, it is time to once again ask the question, which is worse? You've all given me a lot of fun suggestions to talk about this time around, so let's begin by asking... which is worse? Little Goby, or the littlest light on the Christmas tree? This last year, I reviewed 2 of the worst Christmas movies ever made. The Littlest Light on the Christmas Tree was trying so hard to be a holiday classic that it forgot that it needed to be competent first. It has some songs that are easy enough on the ears, but it's an ugly, poorly animated, incoherent mess of a story, and the quasi-spiritual aspect of the titular Littlest Light doesn't make a lick of sense. Little Goby, on the other hand, is complete unadulterated mind-f***ing insanity. A little anthropomorphic reindeer has to go to the North Pole to wish for his pet dragon to recover from a critical injury. Then he meets some smelly hobo who joins him on a journey littered with stick figure eggs, whales that may or may not come from space, sentient donuts, whatever the hell this nightmare fuel is, and elephants that eat letters to Santa and shit out Christmas presents, all while following a trail to Santa Claus that would be impossible to navigate even if you had Indiana Jones, the Riddler, and Google Earth helping you along the way. At least The Littlest Light was trying to be a Christmas movie, but Little Goby? This has to be the result of someone hiding their drug money. So, which is worse? Little Goby. Which is worse, Alpha and Omega, or The Swan Princess? I can't think of a series of kids' movies that have caused me more grief than these 2. It's bad enough that they began as such lackluster, yet completely harmless, standalone films, but then to just get worse, and worse, and worse, and worse, and worse! Each series just got more and more offensive with each new installment. Alpha and Omega wanted to tell the story of 2 wolves on opposite ends of the social hierarchy who end up falling in love, but it was very by the numbers and eventually spun off into a series of movies that focused on their horrible little hellspawn while completely ignoring the characters from whom you might be able to get some kind of enjoyment, while the plot lines just became more and more bizarre and implausible. The same thing happened to The Swan Princess, except it took a few movies before the focus shifted from the Swan Princess herself to her little Mary Sue of an adopted daughter, and while the stories became equally as nuts as those of Alpha and Omega, at least they were better animated. So which is worse? Alpha and Omega. Which is worse, Little Nemo or The Phoenix in the Carpet? Both of these movies are guilty of the same crime, taking something fantastic and making it boring. In the case of The Phoenix in the Carpet, you have 4 siblings, 5 if you count the darling lamb, stumble across a phoenix with magic powers, and a flying carpet that can take them anywhere in the world in a matter of seconds. And what do? They putter around and do absolutely nothing, all the while saying, "I say, this simply isn't done." As for Little Nemo, we have a boy who has to stop the evil Nightmare King, and most of the movie is taking place in his dreams where literally anything is possible. Sadly, the plot is very simplistic and uninspired, which doesn't give the potential creativity of this premise a lot of room to work. But to this movie's credit, what little creativity it does give us is still better than The Phoenix in the Carpet, which seems to have passed out from sheer boredom of itself. So which is worse? The Phoenix in the Carpet. Which is worse, Ratatouille or the Little Panda Fighter? Video Brain Kato is responsible for some of the most horrible animation in history, which, ironically, wouldn't exist if it wasn't trying to rip off some of the best animation in history. The Little Panda Fighter wants to tell the story of an aging polar bear who wants to relive his glory days as a prize fighter, but his swishy janitor ends up getting all the credit, despite how he just wants to be a dancer. Conversely, Ratatouille has almost no story, as we follow some rat chef in not Paris as he contends with the attempted sabotage of his rival rat restaurateurs, all of whom he sends to some science lab at the end. Not only does this movie plod along with almost nothing happening, but our main character is also an asshole. So which is worse? Ratatouille. And just to mix things up a bit, time to ask which is better, Brave or Coco? I need to reiterate the point that Brave is not as bad as a lot of people make it out to be. It tells the story of a princess patching up her rocky relationship with her mother, with some magical hijinks thrown in for good measure. It's simple, but it's effective enough that I had to call my mom after first seeing it just so I could tell her that I love her. Coco, on the other hand, is a very different animal. It faces the unique challenge of bringing a cast of skeletons to the screen and making them appealing instead of terrifying. While characters like Jack Skellington and Bone Jangles are playing off of the joke that, yeah, these people in their supporting cast are meant to be kinda scary, the bulk of the cast of Coco needs to be instantly lovable, despite the fact that they're all dead and rotten away to the furthest extent that a human body can be rotten away before it just turns into dust. At the beginning, we're just as shocked as Miguel is when he starts seeing all these dead people walking around, but then all that fades away almost immediately as he recognizes his family. He sees his aunts and his uncles, and we vicariously see our aunts and uncles too, and it's not scary anymore. The movie also does an excellent job of having its story revolving around Mexican culture and folklore that would otherwise fly over the heads of most non-Mexican audiences, explaining what's what and why. We're introduced to this really strange world that operates on really strange rules and conditions, but never do we feel confused by what's going on. And yeah, the reconciliation between Merida and her mom is very touching, but it just can't compete with Miguel and his mama Coco.
Until you're in my arms again, remember me.
So, which is better? Coco. And thus concludes another installment of Which is Worse. Thank you all for joining me, and as always, I would like to propose a toast to the greatest audience that a guy like me could want. Thank you all for watching, sharing, commenting, pledging to my Patreon, giving me suggestions for movies and comics to review, fan mail, attending the live streams.
And thank you all for making the live stream such a fun and interactive experience with all of your voice suggestions. Both good and horrible.
Seriously, you all make the live streams so great.
Why?
Because of that.
But seriously, thank you all for making this channel what it is, and what it's going to be.
You know there's something you should know, so I'm gonna tell you so. Don't sweat it, forget it, enjoy the show.
Working all day, now it's time to unwind. Kick back, relax, take a load off your mind. I'll be busting the moves and I'll be busting the rhymes. We'll be busting up laughing cause it's party time. Everybody's feeling fine cause it's party time. Party time, party time. Everybody's feeling fine cause it's party time. Party time, party time. Everybody's feeling fine cause it's party time. Party time, party time. Everybody's feeling fine cause it's party time. Party time, party time. Everybody's feeling fine cause it's party time. But just leave your troubles at the door, leave your worries behind, leave the rest up to me, you're gonna like what you find. I'll be busting the moves and I'll be busting the rhymes. We'll be busting up laughing cause it's party time. Party time, party time. Everybody's feeling fine cause it's party time. Party time, party time. Everybody's feeling fine cause it's party time. Party time, party time. Everybody's feeling fine cause it's party time. Party time, party time. Everybody's feeling fine cause it's party time. Party time, party time. Everybody's feeling fine cause it's party time. Party time, party time. Everybody's feeling fine cause it's party time. Party time. It's party time.
Why?
Because of that. Sit down, you're fake news.
You can stop now.
Yes, I know that I can. But I think I'm gonna. Okay, I'll stop. Love you.
I don't think you do.
I do. I love you so much that I can throw a little Sean Connery at you.
That helps a little.
And then, of course, there is Captain Jack Sparrow.
That helps a little bit more.
And then, of course, there's just me.
That helps a lot.
Subscribe, like, follow, comment, share, watch more, more.